What's up, everybody? This is David. Boom. What's up, everybody? This is David Arnold. How y'all doing? I just wanted to jump on here today. I'm very excited about this because I have been talking about doing this. I talked to my mom a few days ago, and I was like, Mom, we should get online and we should go live together and just talk. I get on live with everybody, and I was like, why not get on live with my mom and just chop it up and talk to her and see, how she's doing. We FaceTime all the time. But at the same time, I wanted to make sure that, we could do this together and and just talk. Since I've said that, I need you to know that she has been 100% preparing, and it is a whole nother like I did not realize that it was going to be all of this. Okay, so what I'm doing is I'm waiting for her to join, and as soon as she joins, then we will see. Yes, Dammy, I got verified. A lot of people didn't know this, and I found out the other day by accident that I got verified. I was looking at my Instagram, and all of a sudden I went, "Is that a blue check?" Oh, finally, Instagram says that I am actually David Arnold. So here she is. She wants to join. We're going, and here comes my mom, and we're gonna jump on here together. Um, you have to accept it. It looks like there she is, ladies and gentlemen.
David, in my Aunt Ruth voice. David.
I've been listening to that my whole life. You know what's so funny? I remember when that was a part of my stand-up. When I used to, that was like one of my first jokes.
It was?
Yeah, how you always used to say my name, David. Oh, David. Like, remember that? You don't remember that joke?
I can't remember. I can't say I remember that joke. I can't say that.
Well, you look fantastic, Mom. How are you?
I'm good, Dave. But when I tell you, this should have worn me out. I've been preparing, I know how to prepare, right?
Right.
So I backed this up, I was like, okay, a week ago, I was like, okay, I'm gonna do it. Okay, I'm in my mind. And then I told you one night I woke up in the middle of the night, 3 o'clock, I couldn't sleep, started writing down things about our life together. I'm like, oh, Jesus, oh, Lord. I had to call the doctor for some sleeping pills because I ain't getting no sleep. The corona's going on. I ain't had my hair done. My hair is 12 different colors. I'm like, wait a minute. So I get my best friends, I get my production team, right? And I send them, I got all my head pieces on, trying to cover up my hair, right? And they said, no, Barbara, that ain't work. I'm like, wait a minute. I'm like, David, I ain't got no wardrobe budget. I ain't got no makeup artist. I have nothing, and I am used to this when I get dressed.
Hold it up. I can't see it. Hold it up.
See my little niece?
Hold it up. Hold it up higher. Past your screen. Oh, yes. Oh, that. There you go. There it is. Oh, you used to. Okay,
I'm used to that one. That's what I'm trying to say. And you got me out here, like my grandchildren say, just naked booty. Just naked. This is what you do. This is not what your mama does.
Well, I tell you, you are doing great right now.
Am I, David?
You're doing great. You look good. I see you got your little background all set up.
Yeah, listen, you done invited America into my house.
Listen.
I don't let people in my house. Hey, I'm waiting for the door for somebody to knock on the door right now. People don't knock. I mean, I'm very friendly. I'm very approachable, but people know I'm very private.
Oh, in your building where you live.
In my building, right where I live. So, my doorbell, if somebody knocks on my door, they know they better be dying.
Well, you don't look like, this don't have no pandemic energy. Right now you feel like you know.
Well, David, I try to keep my balance with what's going on because it's crazy out here. I mean, it's just crazy. Every once in a while I pull up my pictures from my trip to Asia.
Your brother is on here, by the way.
Who is?
Your brother, my uncle.
Hey, brother, how you doing, bro? Now, how come he's not someplace helping the people in the hospital? I guess he said guess he said
No, I think that David is, and I'll give people narration so you understand. My mother has she has three siblings. My uncle David is who I was named after. He is a physician and he works in Riverside, and he's been going back to work and working out. So if you guys see Doc Wooding on here, that's my uncle who's on the front lines out there helping out. So,
But
but go ahead, Mom. What was you saying?
Joyce said yesterday he was in the backyard planting trees. So I guess he said, let me go back and plant some more trees.
Yeah, he planting trees. He got
in
a
his
huge,
backyard.
he got that huge land in the back.
Right.
He a physician with 27 BMWs, but he still got that Cleveland in him.
He got that Cleveland, that let's play in the dirt.
That Josh Wooding.
He got my daddy in him, right? David knows, all the doctor. I mean, that's David. I mean, you respect him for that, but yeah, like you say, the Cleveland comes out in
it. It don't never come. That's what's so funny too. Like I was thinking about that when he and I were talking yesterday, and I said, if I had that kind of land, I would have a backhoe and I would be out there, because that's grandpa in us.
Well, yeah, that's what I said. That's the Josh in us. But listen, I was going to tell you before we got ready. I mean, is my position here good? My position here good? Because I was like, don't bring me no Teddy Wiley shiggity, Teddy Riley shiggity. Because that shiggity they had going on last night was pitiful. That was pitiful. David, Teddy Riley gonna come with a 12-piece band. Okay. He got a hype man. He got a backup dancer. Babyface down at the bottom, all cool, calm, and collected, right? Just waiting to play his hits. And Teddy can get no sound.
Right. And it was 38 niggas in the room.
Wait, on his production team. So this morning when I wake up, have you seen Eric Grant jump on here? Eric Nolan?
No, I haven't seen him. Not today.
Okay.
I mean,
okay, because this is scrolling by so fast. I don't know who's here. And who's
don't
not.
worry about the people. Let's just.
But when I woke up this morning and I go to Instagram, Eric took a clip of Kevin Hart, right? And at the top of it says Teddy Riley's production team, and it's Kevin Hart saying, "Help! Help! Help! Nigga, help!"
Yes, I. You know what? I did see that.
You saw that.
I saw that. I tried to go on and watch a little bit of what he did yesterday, and if the sound wasn't good, Babyface had enough. Babyface, he 92, so
right.
He was already ready to go to bed.
And I didn't know this, but Daviki told me he's just getting over the corona.
Who?
Babyface.
Yes,
exactly.
exactly.
I didn't know that.
Yes.
Right, he was like, Teddy, I'll catch you tomorrow.
I text Teddy too, and I said, turn your radio and all your microphones off, and then we could hear what you would. Of course, he didn't respond. He'll respond later, but
and everybody kept texting him, go get in your car, brother. Put your cell phone on.
We don't need all this.
Right. So I have him in mind as I'm trying to get my production set up. You see my little teacups I got over here.
I can't see them, but
so I can serve you some tea.
Oh, okay. And I got my coffee.
Got my little teacup set up here so I can serve you some tea, so America can.
America.
Can you believe that? But you know what? That's from my Bernie Mac days, because I love me some Bernie Mac.
I know you do. Let's talk about.
Let's get into it. What are we gonna talk about?
Okay, so because everybody, I don't know about you, but I put this up and I got a bunch of questions. I cannot believe all the response that I got to this. I came up with this idea because I was live and somebody says, you should go live with your mom. And that's when I hit you up. I was like, that would be a good idea because people love to see you when you're in our Instagram, when you're here visiting.
Right,
and you're not, right now you're in Cleveland. And people love to see you in the Instagram. So I was like, that would be kind of cool for us to go on together. And then I said, well, give us some questions. I honestly thought I would get 15, 20 questions. I'm sure I got well over 300 questions.
You're kidding me, David.
Between Facebook and Instagram, I could not even
read them.
I couldn't even read all of them. So I
Wow.
was like, and of course everybody's questions are all about, you and me and things. So I want to ask, so we're gonna ask some questions. I'm gonna go through just some of the questions. Some of them will start spark conversations. Today, somebody said, this is what I thought was funny. Somebody said, well, what did your mother do in Cleveland, Ohio? She looks like she was a teacher or she was a something. I said, let me tell you something.
They got me mixed up with Aunt Joyce.
Yes, that's her sister.
Right.
My aunt, her sister was a
So
teacher.
what was the question?
What did you do for a living? And I told them, I said, my mother did a lot of things. I remember you ran Dick Celeste's campaign when he ran for
Right.
governor.
Right.
But what I remember the most was that you were the road manager for the OJs and
Right.
Teddy Pendergrass.
Right.
And so and then when people have heard that, this is another part of the stuff that I'll talk about in my next stand-up special. But people are shocked when I say that, and they don't understand that I grew up in an entertainment family. We'll explain your relationship with Bobby, my stepfather.
As we go along.
As we go along, who was one of the original founding members of the
Wait,
OJs.
wait. I gotta stop her. He said, just like I said, he came by here to bring me a case of water a couple of hours ago, right? So I go downstairs. I'm half dressed. I'm like, man, you coming up or what? I said, because I'm getting ready to do a photo shoot with David. He go, oh, is he in town? I said, no, we're doing it over Instagram. I said, I don't know how we doing it. I said, so now you can come and sit over there in the corner if you want to, but I got to go.
You gotta go because he want to talk.
He want to talk.
So that's who she's talking about is my stepfather. They've been married, were married, kind of married, divorced and remarried again. That I don't even know how to explain. It don't even matter. It
It's
doesn't.
complicated. At this point, David, we're too old for it to me. At this point, I'm trying to breathe and not get corona. At this point, anything else is if I get that stimulus check, cool. If I don't, still cool. God has blessed me, and I'm happily retired.
So tell me,
Uh-huh.
what was it? I remember being on the road with the OJs
Right.
when I was like 10.
Right.
And I remember highlights, and I remember us being on the road. I'm gonna give you the highlights of what I remember being on the road.
Okay, go ahead.
I remember one time we were performing, the OJs were performing in some arena, because they were big.
Right, they were huge. Right.
And you gave me $20 to get, go get some snacks, right? This is what's crazy about the world today. It's like me giving Anna Grace and Ashlyn money and telling them to go to the forum and
just go.
And I'll see you. I'll be in the back. That's what you did. I took $20. I bought $20 worth of ice cream sandwiches. And I threw up that night in the hotel room later because I had eaten so many that I was sick. I remember that. I remember watching the OJs perform one night on stage. They killed it.
Right.
They came off stage. They were backstage, Eddie and Walt, arguing about the dance routine and who messed up, who went left when they should have went right.
Right.
And Eddie said to Walt, "You don't tell me how to dance, you black motherfucker." And you went, "Oh shit, come on, David, come on out of the," and you put me out of the room. I remember that was the best. I remember that. I remember seeing Eddie from the side of the stage, watching Eddie sing, and the crowd going crazy. And I remember thinking to myself, I can't sing, but I gotta have that fire.
Well, you know what? I remember you telling me that story from being on stage and feeling the energy that Eddie was giving off and what the crowd was giving back to him. That was probably in the day where he was so slim and trim, he'd pull his jacket off and fall down on his knees when they did Stairway to Heaven or either Just Let Me Make Love to You.
That's what it was. It was Just Let Me Make Love to You.
Right,
he said, "Ooh, shit, love is so fun." And the place went bananas.
Wow. And that's when you said, I got to have me some of that.
I said, I gotta, I
Yeah,
knew.
I think I remember having that conversation with you where you shared that with me. I think I remember that.
I remember that. I remember coming to California. The first time I ever came to California, you brought me here from Cleveland because we were on tour with the OJs and no, the OJs were doing the Richard Pryor show.
Right.
And um,
And I brought their real children out to audition.
Gerald and
I,
Sean, right?
Gerald and Sean and Little Walt. I brought them out to audition for the little OJs.
To play the
And
because they did a flashback
right,
where it was them as
and of course,
kids.
right, and of course this, and of course, now in retrospect, I go back and talk because I talked to Lil Walt about it. He's like, he just looked up and one day a limo was coming in Inglewood. He said he didn't even know what was going on. So,
That I remember that.
but I took great pride in that, even though I felt like they weren't going to make it, but I was like, at least give them that opportunity. So
Yes.
that's the time, and I think I've seen that just recently played on Facebook. That's what you're referring to.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, I'm referring to that sketch, and I remember going to Richard Pryor's office and watching them audition for that. And I just remember how much of all of these things are the things that weighed on me that made me want to do
Be in show business.
be in show business. Exactly.
Right.
That's what made me want to be a part of that somehow. You know what I mean? So
And I'm sure, David, all this time, I'm not thinking about it because I'm very young. I'm only maybe 25 years old, 26, 27, 20. I'm young. I'm young, and I'm on the road with this superstar group, right? So life was coming at me faster than the speed of thought. So then I got my little babies with me. I'm trying to bring you guys along because this was my job.
right. I
And I
did.
had no idea that this was impacting you like that because like my brother, I mean, I named you David Anthony. I got a doctor and a preacher in there. I'm trying to get you to get in the hole, just fit in this hole. You know what I'm saying? Just fit in this hole and just, go to be a teacher, be a social worker. But of course, I didn't know anything about comedy. I mean, I just didn't know that even existed, which is why it was so challenging for me because I wasn't able to recognize your talents.
Okay, so the fact that you said that, and Tammy, my sister Tammy,
Uh-huh.
just texted me and said we need to answer more questions. So
Okay,
this
go
is the
ahead.
thing.
Go ahead.
So here's the thing. Somebody said, since you said me about comedy, somebody said, did you ever, was I always funny, or did you ever, when did you realize I was funny?
I always knew you were funny. I always knew you were funny. That's what made you so impressionable and so charismatic as a child.
Mm-hmm.
Because even in your shenanigans, you could do some shit and then just smile and say, "Oh, mom." You know what I'm saying? So you always had a comedic side to you, but
Right,
I didn't see it as comedy. I
right,
just saw you as this sweet little boy who would just try to wheeze his way out of stuff.
right.
That's what I saw. I didn't see it as comedy.
Did
You
you
were Go
did
ahead.
you notice, like, when did you realize, oh, he could be something like that, I could actually do this as a career?
I really think the first time I really saw it when we had the 50th wedding anniversary for my parents.
Wow.
And I can't remember I think that was before you did the gig at the Navy. I can't remember.
It was
I
it was literally right. It was literally right
Right
before that.
before. That's what I
Yeah.
said. When you came and we just had you MC,
Yes.
because we're just trying to pull something together. We just had you MC for whatever reason.
Right.
And when you razzled the crowd the way you did, and you made
Wow.
such an impact on the crowd, I said, wow, this kid could really, that's why, if you remember when we got to the military and I was there and you got up on stage and performed, I immediately went backstage and found the promoter and I said, listen, can you take my boy with you? Because I knew then you had enough to do something other than what I was pushing you to do, which was to be a teacher or a doctor or a lawyer. Just
Really?
go on with the questions. Yeah, go on with the question.
Okay. What somebody says, what's the favorite thing about me as your son? What was your favorite thing that you remember about me as?
Well, there's so many moments, David. I mean, we've just had so many great moments. I mean, so it's really hard to come up with one. I mean, you've done, I just, to me, I would have to say when you found yourself and you
Yeah.
realized that you were more than what you were doing or being. When I finally let you go and you could stand up and say, oh, wow, yes, I am talented. I am smart. When you came to realize who have always known you are, I think I would have to say that was probably my happiest moment.
Well, again, people who don't know what she's talking about, I've been sober for 23 years now. And I remember right before I got
Oh,
sober.
somebody said they're about to cry.
Don't cry. Pay attention. We got some more shit to talk.
Okay,
Relax.
go ahead. Go ahead.
What I remember, when you out here in these streets and
Right.
you always, always needed some money. Mom, I need some.
Right.
And I remember the last time that I called you for some help, and you basically said no. Do you remember that call?
Oh yeah, I remember that. I remember that call because it was so serious. Because over the years I had given you money. It was so serious. I remember calling your dad. I'm the bug, the windshield. That guy. That
Yes.
guy. I remember calling Eddie, and Eddie. I said Eddie, and Eddie came over to our parents' house, and we sat on the front porch to discuss it because it was that heavy.
Right.
Because I know Eddie was going to give you the money. Of course, I was going to give it to you as well. But by that time, Eddie, your uncle, Leroy had a drug problem. And I watched Eddie's mom take care of Leroy till he was about 45. And you were maybe 23, 24. And this is what I knew. I couldn't go to 45. I knew that.
Right.
I knew I didn't have 20 more years in me of your bullshit. I knew that. Now that I knew. I'm going to cut this brother off right here, right now, today. So, and then, I had finally come into my own relationship with the Lord. I've always been raised in a Christian home, but I was always riding on my parents' relationship. But I had finally come into my own relationship with God, and he showed up for me in my life. So I trusted him for the first time. And I knew he could do more for you than I could do. I was like, no, David, Mom, I've taken you as far as I can take you. Now I got to put you in the hand of Jesus because this is too much for me. And I mean, it broke my heart. I cried like a baby because next thing I know, they moving you and Chris Brooks. They moving your stuff out the house. I had to send my sister Joyce over there with the U-Haul truck. She takes you to Uncle Wendell's house. So I'm just saying that was probably my proudest moment when you finally realized you were
better than
you were living. Exactly.
Yeah, I always tell people this, and I don't know, and I told you when we talked, I said we're gonna have fun. We naturally have fun together, but I didn't want a moment to go by where we didn't talk about some things that are real, because a lot of parents, and I get this a lot when I tell people that I've been sober 23 years, that they don't realize that we are built for making excuses, and I don't know where my daughters are going to go. I don't know what their journey is going to be.
Right.
But I can only
they ain't
imagine.
going on the pole. I know that because Ashley, I'm gonna give Ashley some ice. She ain't going on the pole.
She's not going on the pole.
I'm gonna give Ashley some ice.
Yes, exactly. Because like this is the thing. You can always talk about what you will do until you have to do it. And I think that what you did, a lot of parents can't do,
they struggle
which is
with,
to let their kid go
and
to go, I'm going to give it to God. Because everybody says, oh, I got faith.
Right.
And then,
but your face is tested then when you can say that, because I loved you so much. You were my firstborn. I saw so much in you. I was able to pray the prayer and mean it with all my heart. Lord, if you've got to put him in a wheelchair, if you got to take a foot off, whatever you have to do to my boy, do that, but save my child. And I sincerely meant that with all my heart, because I wanted a piece of you rather than to have the you that you were showing up to be. I could not have that. I could not have that, David. I could not.
Well, I know for one thing for certain.
Somebody asked how many siblings are there. There's 3 of them.
There's 3 of us. There's 4 total. And somebody said, what do you what do you do when you did? And I don't want this to spin off into this
Right.
conversation,
Right.
but I just know that moment was a moment. That's the moment that I started my life, and I give you credit for that, for
Thank you,
being in a
baby.
position enough to go, I gotta let you go. And what's crazy about it is the day that you did it and you said no, and I remember hanging up the phone. I remember going, yeah, that's about right. It's time. Like I wasn't mad. Some people be mad. Fuck you,
Right.
bitch.
Right.
They go crazy.
Right.
I was never, because I always knew anyway, because of where I come from.
Right. Right.
And already, and like when I probably one part of me was hoping that you would say no, so it
Right.
wouldn't
Right.
last another week.
Right.
So it was great that.
and wait a minute, David, and like you said in your last stand up, is like, I know she got to be sick of me because I'm sick of me.
Exactly.
Right. Yeah. So that was probably going. Yeah, but that was a very hard moment for me. But when I look back on it now, it's one of my proudest moments, because and one thing about me as your mom, and like anyone else's journey, I've had my challenges, but I never wanted to be unreal with my children. I wanted to put it all out there and tell it like it is. I ain't no saint. I did my best.
Right.
I did some bad choices, but I always wanted to be honest, because I felt that would benefit you more than me pretending that I was something
Well,
else.
that's
But
why
thank you
I'm
for
able
saying
to.
that to me.
But that's why I'm able to be who I am.
So transparent.
This
Right.
is the thing
Exactly.
that I got, and I'll share this with
We
you.
got to go to another question. We don't want to leave these people out.
I am. I'm not. So this is what I was going to tell you, because this is a question that when I did my stand up, everybody, I had a fan base from Instagram and Facebook before my Netflix special came out, right?
Right.
And so in the Netflix special, as I like the joke that I do about hearing my parents having sex and then going to church with your mother.
Yes.
And then after I see my mother catch the Holy Spirit, I'm like, no, bitch, I heard you last night. You know that
Right.
joke I do.
You're right.
People will always go, I have a problem with you referring to your mother as a bitch and your wife as a bitch, right? And I try to explain to people, like,
that is
one,
comedy.
that is comedy.
Yes.
And two, that we have. Do you remember when I did the joke and Aunt Pat called me up? She was very upset, your sister, about the fact that it was the same thing, because I had said, no, bitch, I know what you're doing, bitch. And she's like, you talking about your mother. Like, and they take it so personal.
They do, David. They do, David, because now I'm able to fast forward. Now I'm able to watch the comments that your fans make, and they take it so personal. And I'll come up, and I'll comment all the time. You cannot take what a comedian says literally. Everything that they say is not the gospel truth. There's a little bit of truth. Some of it is just made up lies. I mean, it's what I'm saying. But people really want to take it at face value, because I remember when you were doing that joke, we were at the comedy union, and you were talking about me in that content. And when you came off stage, some of your colleagues, it might have been Joey Wells, Chris Spencer, but one of your colleagues said to me, well, Dave, how does your mom feel about you calling her a bitch? And I said, well, is he going to get a check? If he's going to get a check, carry on, carry on, carry on, carry on. Right, because number one, I know that's not who I am. I know you don't. There's no disrespect from you to me, because I know you love me and adore me. You do anything for me. But if this is what you need to not go back to where you were, baby, carry on.
All right.
Carry on.
Mom,
I gotta stop. I gotta show you this picture right here. Now look at this. You know what this is?
That is me.
That's
in the
you
hospital
in the hospital
with I've been to that school for a week, and that's Angela Foster, my first girlfriend.
With your girlfriends tending to now. But just look at that look on your face. All right, let's go on with some questions, David. I don't want to disappoint you.
Who was the girl? Speaking of girlfriends, who was the girl that you liked the least that I ever brought home?
I think I pretty much liked all of your girlfriends, because you had good taste in women.
Yes.
You from what's the girl's name here in Cleveland?
Angie.
Yeah, Angie, from Angie to this other Angie, and all the way to Marta. and then Julie, and I mean, you've always had great. So I can't say I disliked any of them. What I disliked or what I was concerned about as you got older were the ones that were trying to marry you, and I knew you were a chicken in the oven still raw. I knew you. I knew if they took you home and sat down to the table, they were going to get food poisoning. Remember, I used to use that expression. I used to say, "No, baby, I know I get it, but this chicken needs to stay in the oven a little bit longer now. Because trust me, I'm telling you, you're not gonna like it." So that was my biggest concern as you got a little older. But here again, this is before you found yourself. You're just trying to find some place to go.
Yes.
And I knew you were shortchanging yourself. Go on, that's another question, baby.
What did you think about Julie when I brought Julie home?
I love Julie. You came up with Julie. I was like, David, don't you remember when you married Julie, when she had her wedding shower? I think it was a wedding shower when you got ready to marry her and you put it on film and you were going to do the ring. And I was out there in California working for TSA. And I was making about $1,200 a day. They were just giving away money. Remember, I was living with you and I had to move into the hotel. And remember, I used to take your clothes to the dry cleaners and clean off my clothes, your clothes.
Yes.
And you were getting ready to get her the ring and you didn't have enough money. I was like, how much do you need? You came over to my hotel room. I gave you a couple $1,000. I went downtown to a jewelry store, found a box that lit up with a light in it. I was like, no, David, I want her to. Oh no, I love Julie. No, I love me, because I remember going to the store. I must have bought Julie 900 gowns to take on her honeymoon. I bought her gown. I bought her some underwear. I bought her everything I could think to buy her to make her say, I'm going to stay with your boy. That's all I did. No, I love me some Julie. I was good with Julie. Good with Julie. Go to the next question.
Well, all right then. Okay, here we go. What was it like coming up in Cleveland, Ohio for you as a
Well, that's all I knew. That's all I knew. So, I mean, children accept the world as it's presented to them. That's all I knew. Right. My first venture was when I went to Pine Forge, which is an African-American boarding school that
I also went to school.
Right, where I sent you trying to help you find yourself, where you got suspended.
Expelled,
exactly. So that was my first time going to another city, and then there were people there from all over the world, all over the country. In fact, I had a classmate from Japan, but people from California, Alabama, New York, Atlanta. So that's when I began to see how big the world was. But now it's been very challenging coming back to Cleveland because I've been exposed to so much more.
Do you remember when I got expelled from Pine Forge, from the school that you
Oh,
said?
yes, ma'am. Yes, sir, I do.
People need to know that I went to a private school that my mother and everybody in the family went to. Our whole family went to this private school.
Tell them that it is actually the oldest African American boarding school. One of the oldest. It's maybe 100 some years old. I can't remember.
Yeah, but it's called Pine Forge Academy in Huntsville.
Right, and you went there,
Pottstown, Pennsylvania.
Right, and you were fortunate enough, David. And here she is. Look at that look at that smile on your face.
Yes, that was my girlfriend from back then. That's Mark.
Who was the headmaster's daughter?
I was dating the headmaster's daughter.
You were dating her. I guess you got, you were feeling yourself, and she lived off campus. You lived in a dormitory. She didn't live in a dormitory. It was a high school, but it was like being in college.
Yes.
And you snuck out of your dorm and went down to her house. And I guess her father caught you.
Caught me in the closet.
Caught you in the closet. So of course he had to make some sort of move. So he calls you into his office to give you your punishment. And today I still try to figure that out. Was it loyalty on your part? I want to say it must have been loyalty, because I guess a lot of the other little boys were going from their dorm to the girls' dorm. but you
yes.
had to go from your dorm to someone's private home.
Yes.
So when you got caught, you go into Elder Cheatham's, thank you, Jesus, for him. You go into Elder Cheatham's office with a tape recorder, and you proceed to tape him, because what you're trying to do now is leverage for your boy. Because by this time, the boys have gotten caught going in the girls' dorm. So you're trying to leverage for your boys to say, and you, if I remember, on the question you asked him on the tape was, well, Elder Cheatham, if you're only going to give me an in-home suspension, you're going to give all of these other boys, you're sending them home. What's the difference? And that's when I said, oh, this boy is nuts. He is nuts. He is, I mean, you got the cookie in your hand. You trying to save the world. And of course, I mean, I could understand you, but I'm your mom. I'm like, David, you gotta let those brothers go. This is between me and you and Elder Cheatham.
And I got expelled and put out, and was to never return again.
Never return again. Never return again.
These are the reasons why I am like I am. Somebody said, how many times did you have to pop me in the mouth coming up?
I don't know. I'm sure several times, because you had a little smart mouth. You like Ashlyn, and you had a little smart mouth.
Like Anna Grace.
Yeah, your Anna Grace is like you with the mouth and the rolling of the eyes and the attitude. Ashlyn is the charismatic, sneaky, kind of charming with the cell phone prop she put in the office the other day. That's that. But that's just speaking of getting spelled. This is a letter I found going through some things of mine. This is a letter that was written to me in 1985, where it says, this letter is to inform you that David Arnold has been given an in-school suspension for a period of 2 days. This suspension is for violation of student code conduct, unruly behavior.
I don't even remember that.
I know, Dave. I know. This is all before you found yourself. But go ahead. I want to answer these people's questions, because
this is what I wanted. This is what kills me.
You never get me like this again.
This is what kills me.
What?
Most families their parents keep a box of their kids' accomplishments.
Right.
Let me show you all. This is when David won this and done it. My mother has a box of and receipts of all of my failures and bullshit.
Hey, David, I used to have the speeding ticket. Remember when you were graduating from the Navy, and 2 days before the graduation you couldn't graduate because you had some speeding tickets on your driver's license?
Yes.
And Eddie Arnold had to run to the Western Union, wire the money so you could walk across the stage. Remember that?
In the Navy. Yes, I do remember that.
I did have the speeding ticket. I don't remember where.
Well, he probably got it. My dad probably got it.
And this is one of your report cards. Can't even see what those numbers are.
That's a D and a C and another D. I ain't even gotta look. I know them as D's. I know them as straight D's.
All right,
The only B on that report card is from creative writing.
Exactly, David. Exact. But you know what? When I was polling my girls and Danny, who was like your sister, grew up with your sister, and I was asking them their memories of you, and Danny wrote me back and she said, Aunt Barbara, David was our leader. Anything that you told them to do, they were going to do. If it was, we're going to get up today, and they're going to
Danny is one of my cousins, so everybody knows.
Watch you play the little football men on the electric board, and they would just sit there all day and listen to that all day long.
Yes.
And Danny said that you were just so creative, because you would have them carrying rocks up the hill, down the hill, and you tell them, okay, we're gonna put a frog on the top, and then then after that we're gonna go to the and then, David, you had a paper route, because here again I'm still trying. Hey, I'm trying to beat the funny out of you, right? I'm like, I just get this brother a job. So you had to get up at 4 o'clock in the morning to go do your paper route. You took my poor little baby girls with you. And I said,
Yes.
Tammy, well, Tammy, how did you do that? She said, well, you would ride your bike, but when it was cold, you would get your wagon. And
Yes.
they would pull the wagon behind you so you could deliver. So, David, you have been manipulating and controlling people.
I
So,
always
right.
needed an audience. I needed people with me.
Right, and you took all these people with you. You took all these people. Go ahead, let's answer another question.
Somebody said beat the funny out of them, which is hilarious. I love the fact that that you talk about. Okay, so this is it. In my stand-up,
Right.
I told the story about meeting my biological father, Mike.
Right.
And the way I wrote the story and the way I did it in the jokes, as you know, was that when I got sober, then you told me, but we know that it happened actually
Right.
earlier in my life.
Right.
Somebody
And
said, why did your mother take you over to that man's house to introduce you, me and Mike Payne? Remember the day you
right.
took me?
I remember the day, yes.
So somebody wants to know, what was your thought process of taking me to meet or to be around and see Mike Payne, who was my biological father? What was your thought? Like, this is why I wanted to see it.
Here again, because I always wanted to be transparent.
Yeah.
I always wanted to be transparent. And I had told you when I felt the time was right that Eddie was not your biological father.
Right.
I had told you that because here again, trying to stand in my truth. And then also because I knew you knew that, but I also knew that you needed to know how talented he was. I knew you needed to know how talented Mike was, so that you could therefore then begin to mirror yourself and recognize that you were not taking advantage of, number one, your pathology. Because like you say, you have my father in you, you got the discipline, the work ethic from Eddie Arnold, you got the never give up from Bobby, but Mike was such a talented man. I just felt that it would benefit you. So, I mean, it was a selfish move on my part. It was a selfish move. But here again, I think the truth of never wanting to lie to any of my children.
And what I think that people don't, or I didn't recognize at the time,
right,
was that you learn. It's amazing how you learn so many lessons as life goes by.
Life goes on, right, exactly.
But when it happened, it was one of the things that made me feel lost. I felt like everybody had been lying to me.
Right, because when I first told you about it, your first response was very comedic. You said to me, I don't know if you remember this, and I think you had just turned 16. You said
17,
to me,
yes, I was 17.
I remember you said to me, damn. And here I thought I was a normal kid, which was brilliant. That was brilliant, because that's the way you took it. You weren't angry with me. You know what I'm saying? Now, maybe like you say, in your quiet time with yourself, as you began to digest your reality, you became, you became fearful, or, whatever emotions we all go through. Because here again, I say children accept the world as it's presented to them.
Yes.
But I just felt that it would benefit you, and I don't regret that at all.
Okay, and somebody asked the question. I want to stay on this, and then I'll get the question about. We'll think about how you got the job as being the manager of the OJs at 25.
Okay.
But
my work ethic. I can tell you that was my work ethic. But go ahead.
It was when I found out that Mike Payne was my biological father. This was the thing. It was so many layers to it, because I knew, and then I had to tell my dad.
Yes, that you knew.
I knew.
Yes,
and he was very upset with you about.
And that's my biggest regret, because at that time I was divorced from him. I was divorcing Bobby, so I was alone.
Yes.
And I told this to you in the context of telling you, David, now you have to step up and be the man.
Yes,
because you must remember, David, I was only 19 when you were born.
Yes.
I was a very young girl. So it started off just being me and you. There you go. It started off just, there you go, baby. It started off just being me and you. So at
Yeah.
that point, that's how I was feeling. I was not married to Eddie. I was divorcing Bobby. All I had was myself and my son, which goes back to that very picture that you put there. If you remember in your baby book, I wrote, somewhere there's a place for us.
From the
Were
song
you
Somewhere.
from the
Yeah.
child reference? Somewhere there's a place for us. But and to me that became my mantra. So when I found myself again alone with this baby who is now 17, then I put my whole life's burdens on you.
So let me explain to somebody, because people said they're confused.
Somebody's asking who's Bobby.
Yes. Okay. So let me explain to everybody what's going on. My mother had me with a guy named Mike Payne when she was 19. She married my father, Eddie, when I was 6 months old. That is who I considered to be my dad. My father, Eddie, is cut the grass, rotate the tires, then your mom
Right.
will make you something to eat.
Right.
He is my father.
Yes.
My name is David Arnold. He adopted me and gave me his name.
Right.
I carry that name proudly. I've learned it's so funny how I am a mixture of all of these men.
Exactly, because if you remember, you were working on your one-man show, the story of your forefathers.
My forefathers, yes.
Right,
My grandfather, your dad,
right.
My biological father, Mike Payne, my dad, my adopted
Yes.
father, who's my dad, Eddie, and then Bobby, my stepfather, who started the OJs that you were married to
Exactly.
for most of my life. So people don't understand that. And I used to have a joke that I did and that I will do on my next special, whereas a lot of black men say they never knew their father.
Exactly.
And I knew all four of mine.
Exactly.
And so
I think for the black man today, that's very, very powerful for me. You know, that's for me, that's very, very powerful. That, David, I had a picture over here of your first. Oh, here it is. Here it is.
What is that?
That's your first karma gear.
Oh, that's my first karma. Yep.
That's the one that burned up.
That's the one. This is the thing. And I want to say this because we're into the last 10 minutes, because this will cut off. But my father, Eddie, is who I talk about on stage, and people with the world will get to know Bobby. And this is what's great. My dad was the one who showed me, how to plan things.
Yes.
He was like, if you fail to plan, then you plan in the fail.
Exactly.
You know, he was the one that really said, someday you the bug, someday you the windshield.
Exactly.
He's very calculated to this day. He has a routine.
Yes.
He's the one that showed me how to do this kind of stuff.
Exactly.
The reason I can write and do all the things that I do
and structure things. Exactly.
The reason is I'm structured because of my dad, Eddie. You know what I'm saying? And the thing about it is, Bobby.
Somebody's asking, can we continue this next Sunday? Go ahead.
Well,
this
you have
is
to
absolutely
go.
Then he said, somebody said, what happened to Eddie? Eddie's still here.
Eddie is still here. My dad.
But go ahead, David. I didn't mean to interrupt.
This is my dad. This is him.
Let's cut the grass.
We just got finished restoring a karma gear together. And
David, I don't want to finish. You're going to finish your story because, like you said, we only have a few minutes.
My dad, Eddie, is the one who showed me all of this stuff.
Right.
Bobby, if you see this album back here, this is the album that one of the albums Bobby produced. This was what I call a love letter to my mother.
Exactly.
I saw him produce this album. After he finished singing with the OJs, he produced this album. It's Truth, Truth. You can go on YouTube and listen to the music. And I never seen a guy work so hard to try to complete something. He's the person that gave me the not quit, don't give up, to chase your dreams. He's the guy that I watched chase his dreams my entire life, my entire childhood.
Exactly.
So I know how to keep going because of Bobby. Exactly. I know how to put a plan together to get to where I'm going because of Eddie. And I have the talent to do it because of Mike Payne.
Exactly.
And I have the character to hold it all together because of my grandfather, your father.
There you go. So
And
what?
so
So wait. So having said all that, what does that make me?
that makes you
That
a
makes me a
bad
bad.
bitch
That makes me a
that get it
bad mama
all
jamma.
together. That you are smart enough to bring all of these people
Oh
in
God.
and keep me. And let me tell you something. There is nothing. I always tell people this. Me and my mother have had drop down, drag out arguments.
Right.
We have, our last argument was the worst. It was
Right.
so bad that I felt bad after.
Right.
And we gotten to a place where we recovered. Bobby came into my life when I was 6 years old.
Right.
And somebody asked that. I'm trying to, when I see questions pop
Right.
up.
Right. Right. Right.
And the reason our relationship works is because we've always been real.
Exactly.
No matter how
Exactly.
bad it hurts, no matter
Exactly.
how people on the outside may see it to be dysfunctional or
Right.
parenting
Or disrespectful.
or
Yes.
disrespectful.
Yeah.
But there's nothing better than knowing that you've been exposed. There's no right answer. There's no right time to do stuff. There's no right. So I'm appreciative of all of the things that you did, that you tried. I know there's no blueprint. I'm a parent.
Exactly.
You do the best you can. You know what I'm saying? And everybody's asking us to come back. I'm not going to come back. I know how to go out on top. Yeah, I've never had these many people on my live. We peaked at like 780 something
That's
at one point.
awesome, David. And this has been very good for me too, because like you say, there's no blueprint. You live with regrets. You live with your good choices, your bad choices. But through it all, if you cannot be honest with
Yes.
yourself and with your children, then you're not really you're missing something here, because
Yes.
everything is forgivable.
Yes. And
Everything.
some things you don't understand why until you look back or you get there and you go, oh, this is why.
Exactly. Can we take one more question? Because like you said, you had 30 of them. I mean, you didn't.
Yes. Somebody said, what song of the OJ's would most relate and reflect your life?
The one I was playing when you called me, How Time Flies.
Oh, which is not one of their most popular songs.
No, it's not one of their most popular ones. Not at all. I was listening to that as I was preparing for this interview. I was listening to the How Time Flies, and it's really so relevant now because we're in this Corona.
Right.
Because some of the lyrics say something like, "Where are we going? What are we looking for?"
Yes.
How time flies. Remember when we were so innocent.
What
go ahead.
is your biggest regret in your life?
Probably that I did not know who I was before I had responsibility. Because this is why I'm so happy here living alone, because I went from my father's house to Eddie's house, then from Eddie's house to Bobby's house.
Mm-hmm.
So now this is my first time being alone.
Mm-hmm.
And I like me. I've always liked me, but I really like me. So I think that's my biggest regret, that I had. So once I had you, I could. I mean, I tried to keep Barbara in there. Now I tried to have me some fun. Now I smoked me some weed. I smoked me some weed. But
do you remember us smoking weed together when I graduated from high school?
Yes. No, I was in Philly do you remember doing the concert for Teddy Pendergrass? David, I think I sent you that video. I see this cut. I send you? David, you're gonna have to put that on CD, because I would like to see it.
It's not gonna be on CD. Nobody has a CD.
You know what I mean, David. You know what I mean. But something more permanent, because your performance there was phenomenal.
Okay.
It was phenomenal.
So
do that. So we got to say goodbye. It's 3:54. America, I love you.
So this is okay. We're gonna say goodbye, and we're gonna do things, and then I'm gonna play us out like you asked me to.
Okay, because we got her.
What plane and where the hell were me and my sister going?
We were on an airplane on our way to Washington, D.C.
And why don't I have on those seatbelt?
Because we didn't have to wear seatbelts back then. And now this is you on the plane in the corner.
Oh, That's wow.
I know, right?
Okay,
All right,
what is this? What is
that's
this?
a family picnic we had. That's you riding a horse.
And tell me, what the hell do you have me wearing?
David, back in the day, that was the shiggity baby. Back in the day, you might as well have on Versace.
Did you have a good time, Mom?
Huh?
Did you have a good time?
Oh, David, this was the absolute best. This was the absolute best. I had but well, we always have fun together. We've never been on camera like this having fun.
I know.
But this was okay. Take us out with my song, America.
All right.
You got to listen to these lyrics, people. Listen.
Thank you for who I am. Mama, thank you for who I am. Thank you for all the things I'm not.
Thank you for all the things I'm not.
Forgive me for the words unsaid.
And forgive me for the times I forgot.
That I forgot.
Cut it up, I can't hear it.
It's as loud as it can be.
Remember all my life.
Remember all my life, you showed me love, you sacrificed. Think of those young and early days.
Early years.
How
you've changed.
Along the way. And I know you believed, and I know you had dreams. But I'm sorry it took all this time to see that I am where I am because of your truth. And I miss you. Yes, I miss you. Mama, forgive the time. I love you, Mom.
I love you too, David. Now wait, I'm gonna need a check.
No damn check.
I'm gonna need a check. I'm gonna need a check. I've been messing around and playing with you for an hour.
I love you, Mom.
I love you too, sweetheart. God bless you, America. Stay safe from the Rona. Don't let her get you.